Please join me in welcoming the timeless, fearless, and ineffably talented Helen Mirren.
Thank you, Sharon.
So we got so lucky because this happens to be a morning when Helen wasn't on stage last night, but of course she is on stage tonight. So really, our huge thanks for waking up so early and being here.
It's not early for you guys, but you know, when you're on the theatre, I haven't seen 8 o'clock in the morning for months.
So is it my imagination, or you just kind of seem to be everywhere right now? I really do mean that. You have, like, I got a note from IFC. They wanted me to talk about the fact that you're hosting this documentary series with Fred Armisen.
Yes.
And then I was watching John Oliver on Sunday night, who is now like a must-watch, and there's Helen Mirren reading the CIA torture report. Did you guys catch this? Right, okay, so you're like 2 seconds away from being a cultural meme just in and of yourself. So how, so since you are turning 70, and congratulations on that on that wonderful milestone, do you feel like do you notice that you're so busy?
No, not really. I mean, you know, when you're in a big city like New York and you're in the theatre, obviously, you know, there are little things that you can do. I mean, I'm a great admirer of John Oliver and indeed of Fred Armisen. I think he's a genius. So, you know, it's lovely to be able to fill those little things in between. But, you know, like everyone else, you know, you have very busy moments and then sort of more quiet moments. Anyway, in my job, you know, it's one of those sort of things, you know, work comes as a tidal wave and then you're sort of left gasping on the shore for sort of like 2 or 3 months getting over it. So I don't know, but certainly, you know, working in the theatre here in New York has been an amazing experience. It's the 3rd time I've done it, so, and every time I've done it, I've just been blown away by the energy of New York, the incredible openness of the audiences here. You know, you're an amazing theatre audience. New Yorkers are really fantastic. You know, the second time I came, I was doing Dance of Death, you know, by Strindberg on Broadway. I mean, please. And the day we were to move into the theatre, 9/11 happened. And this was a mark to me of the sort of brilliance of New York and New Yorkers. In the theatre opposite us was playing The Producers. You remember The Producers, huge hit. No one could get tickets. There were always queues around the block for returns. Well, the morning after 9/11, which was a Wednesday, I think 9/11 was on a Tuesday. The next morning there was a huge queue of people, obviously hoping for returns because they obviously thought that a lot of people wouldn't be turning up. And, you know, but I thought, you know what, that's great. That's the energy of a great city, that sort of drive and energy, and I don't know, that I love this city.
Would you say you started on stage, right? You started as a
I started on stage, yes, I did.
Shakespearean
absolutely.
Actress.
Yes.
And so, do you feel like that's your core?
You know, it's always great to come back to the theatre. I've done it for my whole life. I've always made sure that every 4 years or so I go back to the theatre because it's very easy to lose your nerve. In general, it's easy to lose your nerve, and you have to constantly, you know, push yourself out there. And I think probably that's relevant maybe to a lot of the women here. I know one of the big issues for women is that and I sort of understand why this is as a woman. They won't go and ask for pay raises. You know, they won't go and push themselves forward. You know, I don't know why psychologically that is the case, but I know you know, apparently that is the case. But it's very important to challenge yourself. My headmistress, I went to a convent school, and my headmistress was a nun, and I remember going for my interview, you know, when I was sort of 12 years old, and she got me with her beady eyes, and she said, "Never be afraid of fear. The most dangerous thing is fear itself." And it was such a great piece of advice, you know, that I've held with me all of my life, actually. You know, don't be afraid of fear. Don't be foolish, but don't be afraid of fear.
When do you feel fear?
Oh, all the time. I'm frightened all the time of everything, really. You know, but
Well, that's a relief.
but you know, the important thing is not to be afraid of the fact that you're afraid. Just get over it, you know, and get on.
But do you mean, is it like when you step on stage every night, or when you step in front of the camera?
Yes, yes. It's always a challenge. Obviously, I'm sure for everyone, you know, going to work in the morning and the challenges you have. You know, we all hold a certain amount of fear, nervousness, whatever it is. You know, the modern world is incredibly challenging and exciting, but very, very, very challenging and competitive, so on and so forth. So it's really, and I'm just thinking in terms of, you know, women going to ask for a raise or say no. Actually, you know, that job is for me. I think I've got the capabilities for that job, and go and, you know, overcome the fear of, oh, I can't do that, it makes me too nervous. You know, overcome it. Yeah, sure, you're nervous, but go on, go and do it. What have you got to lose, really?
Is that, part of that also is sort of the British Reserve in that culture that you managed
yes,
to...
maybe that's true. I think maybe that's true. Americans are wonderfully unreserved like that. Well, you are.
It's a nice way of putting it.
But I don't know if they are in terms of women, you know, being ambitious, going for the next job, going for the, you know, going for the higher wage. I don't know if, I suspect both Britain and America are similar in that. I don't know. I don't know what the statistics are. Maybe someone here does know, but...
Well, I think that you have embodied, it's so interesting that you say that, because I think when we think of you, we think of someone, that's what I said in my opening to your coming out here, that you seem fearless. You know, you seem...
Yes, it's all in it. That's the trick, isn't it? Just to... But it is. It's act it. You know, act it. You don't feel it inside, but act it. You know, just pretend you are. Because no one really knows, you know, the reality. And you're this frightened little mouse inside of yourself. I think we all are. I certainly am.
Still,
you know.
now?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was sitting here watching, I'm sorry, what's your name? Jill, and going, oh my God, she's brilliant, she's brilliant. Oh, you know, I'm going to be useless after her, you know. And so we all have that, and you think, yeah, well, you know, your own fear is your business. It's nobody else's business. You know, don't put it on. It's unfair to put your insecurity on other people. That's the way I think of it. You know, don't be selfish with your own insecurity. It's your private business. And
well, I have to put that in the context of it's all the more remarkable to hear you say that, because you are in a business where you are completely front and center, where in this play it's you on stage. When you're in a film, it's you 60 feet on the screen. And it's a very, should we say, pitiless business in that regard for women.
It is and it isn't, you know. You know, elements of it are pitiless for men and for women, incidentally, not just women. Because it is obviously a lot to do with what you look like, you know, and as you say, if you're 60 feet up on a screen, and what you look like is kind of important. But it's also art, and thank God for art, because art gives you, you know, I personally, I feel art is an incredibly essential part of human life and human existence. It's the way we learn about who we are, how we are. It's the way we connect with each other and with the world around us is through art. So, you know, I think of myself as an artist, and art it's not forgiving, but art is very encompassing. It encompasses every age, every emotion, every, you know, every gender. So, thank God for art, I guess.
Are you, what are you, I know you're so busy working, so I don't know if you're sort of paying attention to all the news cycles that are going out there, but one of the conversations that's very present within the entertainment industry right now has to do with not just the number of the small number of women who are directing and who are in positions to, you know, there's a lot of women showrunners actually in television, but much fewer women in film. But there's also a very important conversation about ageism in Hollywood. So just to put that in context.
There's always been that. I mean, how old was Greta Garbo when she retired? I think she was 42 when she retired. You know, one of the greatest stars of the screen. So it's much better now than it was then. You know, Betty Davis continued, but Betty Davis was an artist. You know, Greta Garbo was a movie star, and I think there was a sort of a difference. But I think it's, of course, it exists. I'm not saying it doesn't, and it will get better. But I guess the ageism, I guess I'm talking about ageism in front of the camera. Maybe you're talking about ageism behind the camera.
No, I'm talking about in front of the camera for someone like yourself. You seem, certainly you buck the trend of what it's like, but I had done an interview with Maggie Gyllenhaal, who's 37, just about 2 weeks ago, in which she said she was turned down for a role as too old to play the lover of a 55-year-old man.
Yes, I'm sure that's true. Yes, I'm sure that's true.
So, and good for her for saying so, because a lot of times you would just not say that to a journalist. Yes. So that's...
Fucking outrageous. Fucking outrageous. It's ridiculous. Honestly. I mean, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. And 'twas ever thus. And, you know, we all sat there watching, you know, James Bond having sort of, you know, as James Bond got more and more geriatric, and as his girlfriends got younger and younger, you know. It's like, so annoying. Oh, but anyway.
Well, but so, and
so
yet...
it's incumbent upon us to make the art that contradicts that. It's incumbent upon us to do something about it, not sort of sit back and say, ooh, I don't like that, you know. So that's what I feel anyway. I mean, I think the other wonderful thing that's happening, and that's what really is exciting to me, is seeing women behind the camera, not directors, of course, wonderful. I see women directors finally getting a chance to direct, you know, to being given the budget by you know, the Paulas of the world to make a movie. But the cameramen, the cinematographers, the camera crew, the sound crew, and to see women coming into that part, because that was so male for so long. You know, when I first started making, well, for the first, I don't know, 20 years of my film life, you walked on a set, it was completely male. Maybe one female continuity, script girls, we call them in America. That would be, and maybe a female costume dresser. That would be it. Everybody else would be male. And it was hard to explain to my male friends what it's like to constantly, every day of your life, be having to deal with guys, you know. The guys here have to imagine that this is your workplace every day. You come into a space with this many women in it, and you're the only guy. And this happens day after day after day for the 20 years of your life. And imagine, you know, how you deal with that. So for me, it's wonderful to see women coming into the technical side of film. And as Jill was saying about telling girls, these jobs exist out there. They are there, you know. It's really important to reveal these possibilities in our industry. It's not all about being in front of the camera, far from it. You know, every film set, as you know, has how many people are employed on a film set.
Right, 100
Paula,
or-
in general, 130?
Paula, how many? 100 or so? Yeah.
Usually.
Your average Tom Cruise film, Paula?
Yes, on a big, big movie, but that's... Oh my God. Yes, really, really. So, you know, or you can have 25, but 25 is like tiny, isn't it? But it's 25 people, it's quite a lot of people. You know, normal film crew is about 100. You know, that's all these different jobs, all these different possibilities. So I think it's very important for girls to understand.
There's another thing about you that I think that, well, that I personally love, which is that you're so confident. Again, you might be faking it now that I'm worried that you're faking it. But about your sexuality, about you're a very sexy woman, and you. I'm sorry, I don't go that way, but if I did, you know. I mean, all the time. We have, I mean, on the red carpets, and we have this fantastic photo of you that you took in this stunning red dress with this plunging décolletage. You had a chair over your head. We didn't. Do you remember you did that shoot in Palm Springs with us?
Oh,
it was like a Helen Mirren as Lion Tame. It was fantastic, and it just kind of embodied your sexuality. I mean, at any age, I almost feel like you've become more. You seem more sexually confident and embracing that almost as.
Like the word sexual, honestly, Sharon. It kind of annoys me.
Okay. What word's better?
I don't know. I'm trying to find the word. I don't like the word beauty either. I hate the word beauty. You know, the beauty business industry. Because we're none of us, you know, none of us are beautiful here. We're powerful. That's so much more interesting than being beautiful. Some of us are beautiful, of course we are. But, you know, just like there's one there, I can see a beautiful face. But, you know, of course, there are people who are physically beautiful. And there are people here who are, I'm sure, sexual, and other people who are not sexual. But we have to find another word. And whether it's, you know, to do with being attractive or to doing with, I don't know what the word is. There's got to be another word. Because sexual is so limiting, beauty is so limiting. And you know, it kind of, it's limiting in some way. And we have to find what we mean by that.
And yet there's, even in Red, that, you know, which is such a fun film to watch. You guys know Red, it's...
Yes, oh God, yes. I'm an anti-gun person, so, you know, I found such a terrible betrayal of my principles. And such fun. Oh my God.
Wait, which principles did you betray exactly?
Well, my anti-gun principles, you know, and I have big not arguments with the director, but I'm going in spraying machine guns, and I'm saying, no, she's a sniper, so she wouldn't actually kill anyone. She's targeting. She's just like, you know, she's disabling them, but she hasn't killed a single solitary person. You know.
Yeah.
Please make it clear on the film that I'm not killing anyone.
Did you really say that?
But yes, I did.
Oh my
yes,
God.
But, you know,
have you seen the film?
Yes, exactly. Forget it.
There's a body in it. There's a body in every frame.
Hopeless. And then I said I would not have my photo taken for holding a gun for the poster, you know. So I refused to have my photo taken with holding a gun, so they just digitally put the gun in my hand.
So much
and there
for
I
your
am
principles.
on the poster with this huge fuck-off gun.
That's pretty funny. Next time you have to put it in your contract.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
But it was great fun making these movies, I have to say.
Okay, well, like it or not, I think that a lot of us think you make us feel that there's someone on screen who is of a certain age and sexy. And you may not like that, but it is something that I think is meaningful to a lot of women out there. So we can find a different word. And
Let's find a different word. Let's work on that, yeah.
Hot, how about that? Okay, we'll go with hot.
Hot and cool.
Hot and cool,
Yeah.
Exactly.
She's
How do you
hot
do that?
and she's cool.
She's a walking contradiction. Can you talk a little bit? And you know, we have a full program today, and I know you want to you have somewhere you need to be. But I would love if you would just talk for a few minutes about your relationship to the Queen, because you have played Queen Elizabeth I and Queen Elizabeth II.
My parents must be rolling over in their graves because they were staunch Republicans and they hated anything to do with the monarchy. Thought it was a load of old rubbish, you know, which I do to a certain extent, you know, really. But
you believe that the monarchy is rubbish? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Rubbish, that's not the right word. No, I mean, I think that I don't believe in an aristocracy, let's put it that way. It just is against every principle of human life that I can think of, that you know, these people are different and special and from these, all of the rest of the people. I don't see that. But I think in not seeing that, in a way, has given me the key to playing the Queen, because I want to look at her as a human being and what the influence of that world has on the human being within it. But I am a Queenist, because I think the Queen, actually I think all the royal family are really jolly decent people. You know, they're really decent, and they're really trying to do the best job they can. And we're very lucky, I think, in that sense, to have, you know, a very, very decent family in that role. And I'm trying to take the role away from the people and just look at the people and their moral values and their, you know, and their commitment and the way they behave themselves. And I think she's been incredible, absolutely incredible. You know, and I'm a...
Do you feel like you understand her now, and you have some?
No, you can never understand, because it's such a heightened world that she has lived in for her whole life. It's so, you know, the biggest billionaire in the world has not had the kind of life that the Queen has had. It's so specific. Can you imagine never, ever, ever having to queue for anything? Ever in your whole life? I think maybe she did when she was in the WAC. She was, you know, so when she was maybe in the war, in the time of the war. But anyway, so actually when I prepared for the film of the Queen, I didn't really look at any film or photos of her after the age of 16. I just looked at her as a young girl before this thing came down upon her, to see who the human being was, you know, the character life, who she was. But yes, it's ironic that I will be, you know, now identified with her for the rest of my life. Weird.
But then I understand. I ended up sitting next to Jay Roach on a plane recently, and he was telling me about Hedda Hopper.
Yes.
You're playing Hedda Hopper
Yes.
in Trumbo.
Yes.
So
yes.
he said, like, hands down, you were who he wanted for the role, and all of that. So I mean, is it, you know, you slip in, you do a lot of projects. You seem to like to work a lot, and so is it? When you're slipping in and out of characters like that, I mean, Hedda Hopper is about as far from Queen Elizabeth as you can get, and who's as far from Maria Altman, the woman in Woman in Gold,
right, yes.
Which I realize you shot a while ago already, but you know,
not so long ago.
last year.
Last year.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
not that long ago.
No.
Who, by the way, I got to meet her when she was still
Did
alive.
you?
Yes.
Did you?
Because I wrote about that.
What
that
an impressive
painting.
woman that was.
Quite a remarkable
Yes, a
woman. She
remarkable
would not
woman.
die until they
No.
gave her that friggin' painting back.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And you did a wonderful job playing her.
And what a sort of wonderfully smart. Oh God, I would have loved to have met her. I'm jealous. Yes.
She lives in Brentwood. She's really she lived in Brentwood.
Yes,
she really
I
was
know
like
she
yeah.
did, yes, I know,
she was
yeah.
not far from
Yeah.
your beaten path. But anyway, just slipping in and out of these personas, you know, is it something that you slip it on, you slip it off easily?
Yes, I mean, yeah, I'm not a methody sort of actor. I mean, certain roles you have to sort of stay in character all day, especially if it's related to an accent, because you just in your head you get a bit confused if you're going from one accent to another, and you know. But people like Hedda is lovely. It is like putting on a sort of a disguise, you know. She was a great character. Terrible. What an awful woman. But I mean, what she did to Charlie Chaplin. It's very interesting.
What did she do? Oh, she tortured Charlie Chaplin.
She
right?
tortured him and basically forced him out of America.
Yeah.
She did. You know.
For being a,
For being a left wing. For being left wing. Also, she was enraged, and I was interested by her. I wondered if she might have been abused by her father, because she was so. She thought Charlie Chaplin was a paedophile,
right?
Basically, because he did like young girls. He did like young girls, and a combination of his left-wing politics and his penchant for young women, she just absolutely loathed him. And was relentless. I think the day she died, she sort of was saying, "Thank God we got rid of Charlie Chaplin." It was extraordinary, an extraordinary sort of obsessive hatred.
Do you like playing evil characters? Or?
Well, you know, the important thing, you know, is that you have to see the world through their eyes to a certain extent, and you know, Hedda represented, and probably represents to this day, a mainstream of thought, of American thought, you know, that is is still very prevalent. So I would not like to call it particularly evil. It's out there, it exists, and you know, whether you are have those, you know, attitudes yourself, it's wrong, I always think, to think of things as evil. You just have to say, where's that coming from? What is it? Where is the nobility in it? And there is, you know, a love of country, a great sense of nationalism and pride in America.
Is there a role out there that you wish you would still like to play that you haven't played? You've played everything in Shakespeare. You've played the Queen.
That's always the last question. Is it the last question, Sharon?
I don't know. We can ask more questions. We definitely don't want to.
Usually what's coming next is always the last question when you're being interviewed.
She's been down this road before.
I know. I don't. No. It's the things that take you by surprise are the most exciting things. The things that I don't know about. So you know, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a stack of scripts on your.
Not necessarily. No. Good scripts are rare, aren't they, Paula? You know, they're rare. They're rare. Good scripts for women, especially, are very rare. So no, there's never a stack of scripts.
Well, what we hope is that most of the good scripts seem to come your way, and we hope to see you in many, many more fantastic performances.
Thank you very much.
Please join me in thanking Helen Mirren.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.